Hello, everyone. Daniel here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for the film Nosferatu. This is a new film from Robert Eggers. Uh, Before I go into this, there's a lot of things that we need to talk about, but this film is rated R with a runtime of 2 hours and 13 minutes. It came out on Christmas Day, and that's when I went to watch it. As of the recording of this video, we have a Rotten Tomato score of 86% from the critics, 81% from the audience, and a 4.0 on Letterbox. That's a pretty solid rating. Also, a lot of people that I follow on Letterbox have been pretty happy about this film for the most part. I have heard a few things that where maybe there are some people that did not enjoy. So I think if you connect with this film, I think you're really gonna enjoy it. But if this is something that doesn't fully connect with you, it may miss the mark completely. So I don't think there's like an in between for this film. So we'll see. Just a quick synopsis, and if you know the story of, obviously this is a remake of multiple times, right? We have the original Nosferatu. There was a remake, I believe, in the 70s, and then of course that whole story is kind of based on the story of Dracula, regardless. So you're probably familiar with this with this premise, but it's a gothic tale of obsession between a haunted young woman and a terrifying vampire infatuated with her, causing untold horror in its wake. This film stars Bill Skarsgård as Count Orlok, Nicholas Holt as Thomas Hutter, Lily Rose Depp as Ellen Hutter, William Dafoe, probably one of my favorite performances as Professor Alban Eberhard von Franz, Aaron Taylor Johnson, Craven the Hunter himself as Frederick Harding, Emma Corrin as Anna Harding, and Ralph Ineson as Dr. Wilhelm Sievers. Uh, so, so I haven't seen any of the other Nosferatu iterations, so I did not go into this with any sort of expectation other than actually I haven't even seen or read the Dracula story in a little while, except for a retelling from the point of view of Renfield in the Universal Presents Image Comics Skybound series, Dracula. So, which is very interesting, tonally very similar to this movie actually. Um, but yeah, but I mean, who doesn't kind of know the story of Dracula? I also watched recently, I think last year was the last voyage of the Demeter, which is taken from a specific chapter in the Dracula story, which you kind of see a little bit. So if you're familiar with Dracula, if you've seen the Nosferatu one, the previous Nosferatu iterations, you're probably already familiar with this film. So I won't talk too much about the story. I do want to say I think it was overall pretty engaging, even knowing something that it was being kind of retold, and steps that we were being retraced. And I don't know that I don't think this is a shot for shot adaptation of any of the previous films. I think Eggers really wanted to kind of bring his own spin, and he both wrote and directed this. And I'm a pretty big Eggers fan. I love The Witch. I also love The Northman. I actually haven't seen The Lighthouse because that movie feels a little too weird for me. And I feel like, just knowing myself as a movie watcher, I don't think I would fully enjoy that. But I don't know. Maybe one day I'll give it a chance. Um, Also, I am not the most equipped person when it comes to horror. I don't really enjoy horror movies as much as I used to back in the day. So this one's definitely something that it gave me a little bit of anxiety going to watch it, but because I feel like the movie is designed for that. Um, but I really enjoyed the experience. I think there were some great performances. I think the look of the film is very interesting. Obviously, this is not in black and white, but there's so much time where this takes place like in the 19th century, right? So there was obviously no electricity, there was no like lights all across the streets or whatever. So whenever we have, which we spend a lot of time in the dark at night, things are either lit by candlelight or by the moonlight itself. And I think it's very interesting because anything that is really just being lit by moonlight looks a little bit black and white. You probably seen from the trailers there are some scenes with where it looks like a just a grayscale tone. So I think that's really interesting and a fun way to evoke like, oh yeah, I remember this was originally a black and white movie, which is just a whole different take on it. um, I think Lily Rose Depp as Ellen Hunter has a really hard task to kind of. There's some pieces of her performance, and probably one of the scenes where I almost walked out to take a break because I was getting so anxious was one with her. She has to do some really crazy like body type of stuff. Um, there's a lot of gore. There's a lot of rats. If you don't like rats, this movie's gonna freak you out. Um, and I really think that the design of Count Orlok is very interesting. I like that it doesn't try to be similar to what I know what the original Count Orlok looks like, and it doesn't go for any of that aesthetic. I think Eggers made a really strong choice, and I don't really want to describe Orlok because I feel like that was one of the cool surprises to me as a first time watcher of this story. I don't want to really describe him in the video because I feel like that might even not that it would spoil the performance, but like they are very careful to really not show you what he looks like for a long time. I think Bill Skarsgård just has a very intimidating presence, especially the way he was shot, um, and the voice that they choose to use for this. I think it's very well done. There's a lot of like heavy breathing in between like a lot of his words where you can tell this is a body that is decaying. There's something off about it. There's something wrong with it. I think that's where kind of Nicholas Holt, especially his facial expressions throughout some of these sequences, like they really are way over the top. But I feel like it works for the material and the way it's being presented because there's a lot of times where I was feeling anxious where I had to sit up in my seat or like take a drink of water or like just take a beat because of what was going on the screen. It was very intense experience for me. But like I said, one of the things is that I don't really do a lot of horror movies, or maybe not as much horror as I used to. Um, this is something that I probably would have watched at home instead, like Heretic or something like that. That's pretty recent horror related. So but yeah, I just was enthralled. And I kind of gassed myself up and hyped myself up for this movie, regardless, just because, like I said, I like what Eggers has done in the past. I don't think his movies are perfect or for everyone, but they just, for the most part, have connected with me ever since The Witch. I was like, I'm gonna try to go check out everything this guy does. Like I said, except for The Lighthouse, it just that one seemed way too far. I also want to talk about Willem Dafoe, who I think is probably Eggers' best collaborator ever in anything that he's done. Granted, there's not a lot of movies I've seen, but I know he's a big part of the Lighthouse too. And man, oh man, he goes for it, he nails it, and it's so good. Like he is the one character that feels like this crosses into the fantasy realm, and there's a vampire in this movie. Which is really cool. I love it. He's Von Franz is like the Van Helsing um, equivalent. So like that was also in my head the whole time. So yeah, that was really cool. I think Aaron Taylor Johnson did a really good job, especially how his performance. I had just seen Craven recently, so obviously this is a very different performance. It's really cool to see the range. I think Emma Corrin as well. Like she's probably the character that you can relate to the most from beginning to almost the end of the film because her arc is just like things kind of keep getting worse and escalating, right? But yeah, I mean, overall, like everyone was firing on all cylinders. Ralph Ineson, who I believe he was in The Witch, he was the dad in The Witch, if I'm not mistaken. Also turns out a great performance, and I don't know. There's one more person. It might be Simon McBurney, who plays a very interesting role, very extreme, very intense character. Also, so many rats. Oh my goodness. I think I've seen interviews with Robert Eggers talking about the rats and how much respect he has now for like working with rats. Yeah. Overall, I really enjoyed this film. I hope that you go check it out, even if it's not your usual thing. I think it is a fun way to kind of close out the year. This might be my last film of the year, unless I can make it to a screening of A Complete Unknown before the end of the year. But it's a busy time, so we'll see. But yeah, highly recommend Nosferatu. Watch it in a really nice, crowded theater. I think there's really cool reactions. There was one or two moments where I actually laughed, and I don't know if I laughed because I was nervous or because I really thought something was funny. But yeah, this, yeah, I was entranced. All throughout the marketing, I was like, oh yeah, Nosferatu is beckoning me to go to the theater. So it was really cool, taking a break, Christmas, getting away for a little bit, taking a beat. So yeah, if you've seen this film, let me know what you thought about it down in the comments. As always, thank you for watching, everyone. Remember to share, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we go live. That is most Saturdays, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Stay tuned. We have more comic reviews, trailer reactions, TV recaps, all that fun stuff here in the channel. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye bye.